Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into it.
Using and even storing a car in the garage, its assemblies and units are affected by various factors. These include humidity, dry air, low temperatures, temperature fluctuations, overheating, and much more. This can affect various components, including the brake pipe. Many motorists have encountered a situation when it was stuck or sour, and there was a need to disconnect it from the caliper, cylinder, or brake hose. Strange as it may seem, but such a problem is more common on cars of domestic production. This does not mean that all owners of foreign cars are insured against souring of the tube. It just happens in them somewhat less often. What is a brake pipe and why it is needed? A brake pipe is a connecting element. It is attached to brake cylinders and calipers, connected to rubber hoses using nuts put on it. Sticky or souring occurs precisely in the areas where the threaded connection is used. When a motorist tries to unscrew it, for which a simple wrench is usually used to match the nut size, the edges of the fastener are often torn off. Torn and worn edges make the disassembly process much more difficult. Causes of souring. It is quite easy to see a sour element called a brake pipe. To do this, it is enough not to change the brake fluid for a long time and not to carry out any repair and preventive work related to its unscrewing. The usual sticking on the automobile motor component is associated with temperature loads, namely with an increase in temperature in the conditions under which a particular unit operates. Here there are no questions, since the engine in the process of operation is really heated up a lot. But then it is not quite clear why the tube is stuck, which simply cannot be unscrewed sometimes. To dismantle the brake pipe, strongly stuck to the connection points, you can use different methods. Sticky deposits in this area are also to be expected. When the brake system is running, the drums and calipers actively absorb energy while generating heat. Because of this, a lot of heat is generated. But the most important factor is considered to be rapid cooling. It is possible when, after active braking and heating of braking mechanisms, the car falls into a deep puddle or sinks into the snow. This leads to a sharp temperature difference. Additionally, the brake pipes of cars are affected by autochemistry, chemicals on the roads, dirt, and various liquids that appear on the element and on the areas of its connection with the caliper or cylinder. It is worth emphasizing one more point. Then there is a large volume of water in the brake fluid. The process of internal oxidation begins. That is, oxidative reactions occur inside, and the clamping occurs under the influence of internal provoking factors. Read also, how to install in the car's switch mass of the battery, how to properly unscrew. Now the most important thing. You need to understand how you can unscrew the brake pipes in this or that situation. In fact, here we can distinguish two possible scenarios. The thread is intact and has not been stripped. The edges are chipped, which makes the task more difficult. It is much easier to remove a hose that has become stuck together with the brake pipe, or to disconnect the caliper when the faces are intact. Do not immediately take a wrench and apply all the force you have. Additionally, helping with the lever, there is a high probability to damage the brake hose, and together with it lose the brake caliper. It is better to remove everything carefully and according to the rules. It is necessary to consider separately dismantling operations relevant for broken and whole edges. Disassembly with whole faces, you are really lucky if the faces are intact. In this situation, unscrewing the brake hose from the tube or tube from the caliper will be quite easy. Not in all situations, but it is in any case better than trying to solve the problem of a damaged mount. There are some general guidelines to help you deal with the situation as you repair or service your car. Before you try to unscrew a brake hose or tube from the caliper, be sure to clean the mounting area. Sometimes the tube nut is so dirty that the motorist cannot find it or properly grip the fastener with a tool. After cleaning, it is worth taking a special fluid designed for bolt removal. There are a number of specialized solutions. But if you do not want to deal with a wide range, buy the usual universal spray WD-40. It is also excellent for such tasks. Having treated the nut with the selected liquid, literally immediately unscrew the element is unlikely to succeed. The product needs some time to allow the nut to loosen a little. In the case of WD-40, it is usually recommended to wait 20 to 30 minutes. It will be better if, when dismantling the brake pipe, you use a special wrench, which has an additional bolt. This gives a better hold. The bolt is thrown over the nut, screwed on, and then you can proceed to dismantling. In most cases, following this sequence gives a positive result. But it also happens that the tube is sourced really badly. Here, even the most expensive means and waiting for several hours will not help. Sometimes it is necessary to tear off the edges on purpose. If the edges are torn off, the situation is somewhat different. The task facing the motorist becomes more complicated. Dismantling with a torn-off edge, it often happens that the motorist took an ordinary wrench and, counting on his physical strength, tried to unscrew the fastener. But it all ended in a fiasco in the form of torn edges. Read also, is it possible to replace the windshield with your own hands, and how to do it correctly? To begin with, it is recommended to go through the same stages as in the previous option. That is, perform cleaning of the attachment point, then treat the threaded joint with some solvent, and wait a little. Again, take a wrench and try to turn the element. When such measures still do not help, the broken element will have to be dismantled in a slightly different way. Alas, you have torn off the element and made the task more difficult for yourself. One of the solutions is cutting the brake pipe. After the tube is cut, the caliper or brake cylinder itself is dismantled. Thus, you will only have to unscrew the remaining nut. Try in this situation to select a wrench used specifically for unscrewing the torn edges. For such purposes, there are special heads. A distinctive feature of these heads for wrenches is that the main force is transferred to the remaining edges and not to the corners of the fastener. This is a big difference, because with less effort there is a high probability of unscrewing a stuck connection. It's possible that treating with solvents like WD-40 and using socket heads for a stripped nut won't solve the problem in the end anyway. There is a useful recommendation. Try sharpening the stripped nut with a file. This creates more pronounced angles, almost like before the nut came off. The tool and physical force is applied to them. Pre-treat again with WD-40 and give it some time to work. In extreme cases, there are two more options for further action when all the previous measures did not give the desired result. Drilling. The essence of the method is to drill out the fastener with a drill. To do this in ordinary garage conditions is quite simple. It is not so much about drilling as about restoring the thread. Cutting a new thread implies the use of special tools. You will probably have to go to a car service or to specialized specialists. The use of a welding machine. Here the situation looks a little different. To the nut, on which you have previously ripped off the edges, you need to weld another nut, but already a little larger in diameter. It needs a wrench of the appropriate size. A brake pipe can indeed cause certain problems in the process of repairing the brake assembly on a car, but there are several solutions that can help in this situation. It is better not to hurry and do not try to use your boggart force. It is haste that most often leads to thread stripping, which entails complication of an already difficult situation. Show wit and patience. In such a case, they can play a key role. In conclusion, understanding why the brake pipe gets stuck is essential for any vehicle owner or mechanic. Factors such as corrosion, improper installation, and environmental conditions can contribute to this issue. By following the correct techniques for unscrewing the brake pipe, such as using penetrating oil, applying heat, and utilizing the right tools, you can effectively resolve the problem without causing further damage. Remember, patience and care are key to ensuring a successful repair. Thank you for watching, and stay safe on the road.